Hi everyone, I'm your instructor Fred Abley, and this is the IST 210 Weekly Overview.
KHJ Los Angeles.
Portions of the day's programming are reproduced by means of electrical transcriptions or tape recordings.
Okay, hello everyone, and now this week we're going to be continuing on our trek to do more work with SQL, and I think you're going to start to see that this is more of a lab that gives you a better sense of what it's now like to create a database as opposed to just using a database to pull information or data from using select statements. So this past lab last week we understood that you could actually start to create more complex queries that'll produce results from two or more tables. That's all well and good. Now going forward into this next lab, you're going to be building a series of tables. This lab has you actually starting to craft a database, really that would be mirroring what we have for Flix2U. So you're going to start to see now the labs and the projects start to overlap. So that's a good thing. So now you're going to get a chance to see how this all comes together. For this particular lab now, we give you a script that you're going to run, which I'll go over here in a moment. And then you're going to also begin to lay the foundation to create the other half of this. So we give you the script for half the tables, you create the create statements for the other half. So this week we introduce you to a new SQL command, and that is the create statement. The create statement allows you to instantiate an object or actually create it in the database, and then you can actually put data into it. So we're going to create a table, and eventually we're going to put some data into it. All right, so let's take a look at what the lab is actually going to be comprised of. Okay, hello everyone, and we're taking now a closer look at lab number 6. Wow, can you believe it? We're here at lab number 6, and we're moving right along, heading into the last month of the semester. Okay, so in this particular lab, you're going to see that there's two parts, and it's going to actually kind of mimic a process that you would go through in order to build something in a database. Now, everything you've been doing up to now, as I said, you've been doing more like retrieval work, working with a select statement. In this lab, we introduce you to the create statement, which is covered in the textbook, but then there's also, you're going to be able to take a look at this script in a moment and build it out. So when you come in here, you're going to notice that what we gave you is essentially a text script. And when you open it, you'll notice that you're going to see that this was created by another peer of mine, Gary Heberling, and this is what we would call a script. A script is nothing more than a text file that you can actually copy and paste and run or execute as a query inside a Microsoft SQL Server. So for this particular lab, you're going to be utilizing this. And here, as I was telling you, not only is it in your textbook, you can see it in action here. And this is the create table statement. So this is actually creating a table, and it's creating the table name. And then we get actually into specifying the column, its data type, and if it has any kind of constraints. And in this one right here, this is known as the identity. This is like an auto number feature. So every time you insert a value into this table, this field automatically increments itself, starting at 1 and incrementing by 1. You could actually make those values anything you like. You could increment it by 5s, by 2s. You could have it start off at 999, whatever you want to do. But that's like an auto incrementing type field. So you could see that there's these tables. Now, what happens with this particular script? It's assuming that it's working from a blank slate. But when you really look at this, it drops all of the tables if they exist. If they exist. Now, once they go through that, you may see an error message when you first run through this. That's okay, because the tables don't exist. Now you come down here, and as it's running through this, it'll create each one of these tables. And you'll notice that as it builds these tables, we are not specifying any keys, foreign or primary. Take a good look at that. But what we end up doing is after we stand those tables up, we go back in and we utilize another new statement called the alter statement. The alter table statement can actually modify a structure, a table structure. And here we could start to see it's adding a constraint, and then we give it a constraint name. And that name could be anything we want. This is a good naming convention where you specify the letter PK or FK, PK being primary key, FK being foreign key. And then we specify the reserved word, primary key, and then we say what field is going to be the primary key in the table called genre codes. So there's an actual field in there called genre code. Now we do that for each of the tables. So you're going to see that we actually add all the primary keys first to all these tables. And then we go in and add the foreign keys. Now remember, the referential integrity rule is what we're trying to work within here, because as you add these foreign keys on, you got to make sure that the corresponding primary key exists. All right, so that's ultimately what's happening. So this script, all it does is stand up the tables. All you got to do is run this, and you could easily run it. You could easily run it by copying and then pasting right into a new query window. So when you come in here, you're going to come into your space, and you'll be able to come down into your own space, not the IST210WC. You're going to look for your ID, and mine's right here. I would come in here. I can see I have some tables already in there built from this, but you can click on New Query in your own space, and you could paste. There it is, and you'll click Execute, and it'll give you a message. All right, so that's all you're going to be doing with that part of the problem. So you're going to grab. Got to go back here 1 second. Looks like I jumped out of my browser here window. Okay, now I'm just going to go back here. So what you're going to do is, with this particular lab, is once you get into it, you're going to run that script. The other piece that you're going to need for this lab is on the problem document page. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see that we have an ERD. This is the actual ERD for Flix2U. I know you've all seen this. I'm sure you've been studying this project. So now what you're going to do is the script creates half of these tables. Your job is going to be create a similar script that'll create the other half, or the other tables. So I'm going to go back here and walking back. Now going back into the lab here. So as we said, part one, you're going to run the script in your own folder in the VLab SQL Server, and that's it. Part two, you're going to create a data dictionary again, just like you did in lab one. And I provided a screenshot of the format I'd like you to use again, preferably with Microsoft Excel. However, whatever you do, I want you to make sure you save it as a PDF file. Well, I'm going to try something new with submitting the work. Submitting it as your own PDF file would be great for this particular part and the final submission of running the scripts. So you're all actually then going to build a data dictionary, right? Create a data dictionary for the remaining 7 tables. I don't need a data dictionary for the tables that I give you in the script. I need a data dictionary for the other 7 tables. So take a look at the 7 tables I get created here, and then you go into here, and you'll see how that works. And you'll be able to list them out. Okay, so you're going to do that, save it as a PDF file. Then you're going to write and execute all the SQL commands, just like the script that I gave you. You're going to kind of mimic it, and you're going to create the other 7 tables with their primary and foreign keys. Very cool stuff. You're going to actually be beginning to build your own database. That's really an exciting thing, you know, when you think about how far you've come along in this course. All right, so you're going to also place all the SQL commands and then all the message that you output that you get from SQL Server, and then paste that into a document and save that document as a PDF. So you can go into Microsoft Word, do a file save as PDF, and then that's what you get uploaded to me. So those are the main components we're going to be dealing with for this particular lab. So here we are, we're going to be finishing up this week's lab. Now I will be looking at the progress reports for the teams and getting back to everybody. It's my intention to touch base with all the teams this week and really get a good status check on where you are with the number of the deliverables. I'll probably be producing a video also that kind of lightly goes over how do you can formulate the budget and some other key items you're going to want to be considering as you go forward into these final weeks of the course. April is right around the corner, really, right? And we start to see that the month is going to fly by. You have a major project due at the end of the month. You have several more labs, and actually they're going to become challenging. There's 2 of them in there that'll be quite interesting, especially for those of you who have some experience. For those of you that are still learning this, all I could say is you can work through these and you'll be fine. So all in all, I wish everybody a good week this week, and then also make sure whenever you're going to be asking me for any assistance, I would like you to actually provide the error message. that's helpful. I mean, otherwise you're just saying, hey, it's not working. That doesn't really help me much. And then we have to go back and forth on a number of emails, and then it kind of gets really confusing, and it takes too slow to actually fix your problem. So give me a description of the message. Tell me what you're doing. If you could provide a screenshot, that's great. Now, if there's a technical issue, a database being unavailable, or you're having a problem with your account, I would tell you that make sure you email the ITS or the IST help desk, because they're the ones who really control the database instance. All right. So we overviewed the lab this week. You have another assessment on this particular chapter, I believe chapter 9, and you'll see that this lab, be patient with it, but it'll be now your chance to begin creating. All right, so have a great week, everybody.
The VCR and the DVD, there wasn't none of that crap back in 1970. We didn't know about a world